Hello, everybody. Daniel Flowerdew here.
Laura Lee Mistycah here.
I'm with Flower Power Clinical Massage, and Laura Lee has First Wave Indigos.
And mystichouse.com.
Yep.
And
So
more.
and more.
More.
So if you want any info about us and what we do, feel free to follow us online on our websites, and we'll be doing a lot more of these videos.
Hopefully.
Hopefully. Yeah.
That's our intent.
Yep. And I just wanted to say as well, thank you everyone for the awesome feedback from the last video. So yeah, if you guys have any questions after today with anything, just shoot them our way. We're always happy to take your questions.
We don't have the answers, but we'll be glad to take
yeah. But who knows?
Who knows? That's right.
And who is one of our allies? It's an aspect of our Summa. So I'm just kind of leading some things in there if you wanted to ask any questions about what is a Summa or who is who.
Who is who?
So yeah.
It was so
we're not talking about the
epic
band.
when we were talking about who is who. Remember the owl? Who? And then we found out who. There was a who. So
there is a who. There is a who. Yes.
And there's a what.
Yep.
There's a what. They exist.
Where there's a who, there's a what.
That's right.
Okay, so we have some pretty fun topics lined up for today. I really wanted to start off with talking about the Aulmauracite rocks because it's really pivotal to the work that Laura Lee does, and with the work that I've done, they've become one of my greatest allies. And I'll just throw in real quick that I have over $30,000 worth of rocks at home. Okay,
whoa.
I've been collecting since I was 12. Everything from amethyst to quartz to apopholites, zeolites, zezulites. I have a huge assortment of things. But after I got these rocks, I haven't bought.
Rock hoarder.
I am a rock hoarder. I might be a salamander outside the realm, but we're very, very closely related to dragons. Okay, especially when it comes to our pretty shiny things.
Yes.
But since I got these rocks, I haven't bought any other rocks. I've been using these everywhere I go.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. Before I got these rocks, I used to fill my pockets with everything imaginable, citrines, amethyst, quartz, moss agates, everything I could fit in my pockets. And everywhere I'd go, I'd set out a little grid and everything. And once I got these rocks, I just have one in each pocket and good to go.
What's so weird? I'm the same. I was like obsessed with pretty shiny rocks. And then after I started using these, it's like, well, these do everything those do, so why weight myself down with all, they're pretty, I'd rather have that on my table than a lamp or some stupid antique
some weird
or something.
statue.
Right.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm the same. My rocks are my buddies.
Yeah. So how did you come across the rocks? How did they find you?
Oh, long time ago. We have to go back to the 90s. I had a friend that he was kind of a miner guy. He was always doing excavating. He was he'd been in the military. He was in special forces. I had a lot of special forces people popping up about that same time. I'm like, what am I attracting here? and then he would do kind of private. He would help people get untaxed, and so he knew a lot about common law and how it had been twisted and stuff. So he was just kind of a jack of all trades, and
he sounds like a really interesting guy. He sounds like a lot of fun to be around. I bet. Yeah.
He was, and he would laugh a lot, and so he came over one time, and he had the back of his truck with big gunny sacks full of rocks, and he says, "I think I found gold." I said, "Really?" And so he goes back and opens up one of these gunny sacks, and there was a bunch of big rocks like that. If you want to.
So.
Yeah.
Like this. This is my fist, and this is this rock. Yeah. Okay, so it's a pretty good heavy
size.
chunk.
Yeah. So he had some gunny sacks of those, and I'm like, wow. And so I picked one up, and I'm like, oh my gosh. I was just like speechless. I couldn't, I'm like, and I said, you have gold here, but it's not what you think. And then when he had him assayed, the assay, there's every known mineral and then some in these rocks. And the gold content was not enough to try to extract.
Thank goodness.
Yes, and the rocks are gone. Phew! And one time we were doing experiments on it to see what they could do. And so he says, well, you know, it's got a lot of iron in it. So, you know, let's torch it and see if it melts. So he did, and it melted. It was this little puddle. Didn't sparkle. It was just like this little puddle of gray matter.
Just like a hematite or something.
Yeah,
like
well,
it just,
was
it still like mirror effect? Like, did it have any like shine to it, or?
It was just flat.
Oh, those poor rocks.
And then they said, now you know, don't ever, ever, ever do that again.
Never.
Do not do that. That's so they don't like to be.
So the people
torched.
Watching this, keep them away from fire, okay?
Yeah. Don't melt them.
No,
they don't like that.
They don't like it
at all. So no, I never did that again. So I started experimenting with it back then, and I had it assayed, and like I said, it's got every known mineral and then some. And then people started using them, and like their psychic abilities would be enhanced, and they just, and then we found out that they were healing, you know, very, very adapted at healing. And then when I had some clients I was doing, I'm trying to remember what kind of therapy that was, that it was kind of like timeline, but it was a little different. So I was working, when I used to, before the rocks, I would be exhausted after ghost busting and after doing a lot of psychic work, because it really drains you. It just does.
It takes a lot of work, and when a person doesn't have a clear energy field, it's literally like trying to pull back the curtains and be like, okay, what is happening here? It can be very, very exhausting to figure out where things go.
It is. Well, like Ronnie and I would talk about doing ghost bustings. It'd be like trying to walk through Jello. You just like, takes forever. And so I had this idea. I says, why don't you hold these rocks? So he did, and I'm like, whoa, this is like so easy. And it was like I was sitting in the background leading the band, and I didn't have to do every instrument, and I'm like, whoa, this is amazing. And so from then on, all my clients had rocks. I
yes.
did that. And it just kind of started from there, and then we started doing gridding, and that opened a whole new avenue. Experimentation. And so people are gridding their houses and their properties, and
courthouses and theme parks.
Yes.
Like, yeah. National forests, even.
Mount Rainier.
The entire planet,
because we've got one on the North and South Pole. So they're everywhere now, and they're loving it because they're doing their job. And they told me, they said, I don't want you to just put me on your dresser, on a pretty,
in your
little
windowsill.
Yes, to look pretty. Yeah. I don't like to do that. I want to work. So you keep me around. And then we noticed that they're kind of interdimensional, and people will put them in one place and find them in another that they never, like one lady found it, she had it by her bedside, and she found it in her medicine cabinet. So some people say they looked all over for it, and then they found it, and it was the same place that it was before they started looking for it, when it wasn't there. So
I had that happen to me once too, where I knew I put it in one specific spot. I lost it for 2 weeks, looking everywhere I could. At the end of that 2 weeks, it was right where I put it. It was in the very first spot I looked. And, you know, it wasn't covered up by blankets or anything. Yeah. It was a spot that was open on my cabinet.
So,
So there was nowhere it could have hidden. There was nothing around it at all, even. it just wasn't
And
there. Then
your
all of a
dog
sudden
didn't
it was.
carry it away and then bring it back to
No,
you.
no, he's a little Chihuahua, so even if he wanted to get up there, he really couldn't have. You
and
know,
then
it
to
was,
replace it and put it back exactly that way. I don't think your
No,
dog could
no,
be that
no.
accurate.
No, so yeah, so I've experienced that too with these rocks.
That's amazing. So so they're interdimensional, and that really helps for psychics to be able to tune into things and be able to. Don't you find out that your psychic information comes way quicker?
So much faster. I've gotten to the point now that I have a couple of little rocks in my massage room, and when I do tarot readings for people or I'm doing massages for them or energy work, I'll have them hold on to the rocks, and I swear I get information right away. And it's normally always very deep information. It's not surface level. It's not like, oh, you've been through trauma in your past. It's like, no, we're gonna figure out what it is.
Like, who
like
hasn't?
what's affecting you. Yeah.
That's so generic.
yeah, exactly. Like, oh, you have abandonment issues. I haven't met a single person that doesn't.
Yeah, like, really?
Like, yeah. But yeah, even with massage, you know, something where I'm not there talking a person through anything, it's interesting because, you know, the room's a little darker, so it's easier to see the energy shifting in the room. A lot of massage therapists will have this happen. Even if they're not open to energy, they'll still see like little blue flashes, or, you know, there's little specific things that every massage therapist sees. Well, when a person's holding the rocks and the lights are low, like, the energy is going all over the place. And it doesn't take a psychic to see it, you know?
Awesome.
You know, I kind of want to share my first experience with the rocks too.
That's good. That's
so I was trying to get into
in the
massage
day.
school. Yeah, back in the day. Yeah. Like 6 years ago. Yeah, that was about 6 years ago. Because, like, I met Laura Lee when I was, like, 13 years old.
Just a little
But,
guy.
yeah, I was super little. Just getting started into everything. But I got my first set of rocks when I was getting into massage school. So I was trying for years to get into school. Years. And nothing ever worked. You know, either I didn't have enough money, or I didn't have enough time, or the school wasn't accepting new clients or new students. Well, I was helping a friend out at one of her events. She throws big events in the area. Lovely lady. And so she was like, oh, go help Laura Lee and Ronnie out. You know, they're trying to put up their sign. And so I sat there and started talking with them for, like, you know, you and Ronnie. I was talking to you guys both for, like, maybe an hour or so. And then Laura Lee was like, oh, here, I want to give you this pendant. Well, at that point, I was up for 30 hours. You know, I just got off of a 16-hour shift. I was helping out with the event. I was already exhausted. But I was unintentionally using everyone's energy to kind of keep myself afloat, because it was a really busy event.
It was.
As soon as the pendant came on, it's just an automatic crash. It's like, oh, no, I don't want their energy. You know, there's probably some really nasty stuff. I don't want the energy from every person that's walking near me. So I went home, went to bed, woke up the next day, because I was up for a long time. And I got a call from the massage school saying not only was I accepted into the course, but that the state was going to pay for over half of it, and I'd be able to work off the other half. So I think I paid maybe $500 for my training to be a massage therapist.
How much is massage school back then?
I think it was $8,000.
Yeah. And that was a few years ago, so it's gone up.
Yeah.
Wow. I didn't know about that. That's a pretty fascinating story.
And then everything worked out. I started working night shift, so I had the day to do my studies and do the tests, and I was able to work doubles on certain days so I could have my days off during the week for the classes. So it really worked out really, really well.
That's
like
amazing.
Everything really fell into place.
And then you started going faster and faster and faster. It really does bump you up to the next level when you start using these. It does.
Yeah, like my psychic abilities, you know, I've always been very intuitive as a kid. You know, I could always see ghosts. You know, I could always see when something was wrong with someone, you know. But once I got these rocks, so many things shifted. For one, I didn't have to take on someone else's energy in order for me to see what was going on. Whereas before, I would do this whole chameleon thing where it's like, oh, let me take your pain from you so that way you're not holding on to it. And that way I can help you more to get through it.
And
which doesn't work.
They just got some more pain, right?
Yeah. They would just get more pain.
So now
they
two people are in pain.
Mm-hmm. So it didn't work out very well. Oh, excuse me. So so that shifted. And my ability to hone in on the exact issues went through the roof too. I don't have 100% accuracy, but
nobody does.
Nobody does. And
90% is good.
Yeah.
It is really good.
Yeah, 90% is
get a psychic that's 90, because there's always variables, and there's always an aspect that you don't know about that changes the whole thing. So 90% is really good.
Yeah. And a lot of that is because of these rocks. These rocks, they're able to look at things from multiple different avenues. And then they compile it together. It's like they do all the computing and everything.
Right, they're very smart rocks.
They're very smart. They're very smart. Yeah. So, so now I use them in my practice, and it's been tremendously helpful.
Oh, I tell you, the first time I had that guy hold the rocks while I was working on him, I'm like, whoa, this is so easy. I don't have to get all inside like you, get all up front and personal with everything. I just sit back and lead the band, and the rocks do the rest. So for you therapists out there, these can be a huge ally for you.
Yeah, and they're very user-friendly too. I've been in groups of people where I will just pass them back from person to person, and then I'll get the rocks back, and I don't feel like I need to cleanse them. I've only ever cleansed my rocks once, and that was because we did some really heavy shit, and it just needed a little extra love and attention.
Washed them.
yeah, pretty much. Not in the sink, but I washed them with love, and
just
gave them appreciation, because
basically they don't need to be cleansed ever.
No.
Because they're self-cleaning. So what you were doing is just showing appreciation. Not
yes.
that they needed it,
yes.
but you needed to show appreciation so that they know that you appreciated them.
Yes. And that really was what it was too. I was giving it hugs, and I was just like, oh, just thank you so much for all that you did. And then I would put it with other Aulmauracite rocks so they could all help kind of clean each other up. But yeah, it is self-cleansing. After that work we did, this rock actually emitted this smoky smell for days. And I was working with it last night, and the smell is completely gone. I haven't done
Did we talk about that on the last one?
No, we didn't.
The smoky rock, we did?
Yeah, no, that happened after the last one. So yeah, do you want to share about?
You go ahead. You're doing good. Okay. Tell the story about the smoky.
I'm good at talking. I keep
good,
going.
But tell the smoke story, because that was really good.
Okay, so we were doing some work here in the Dragon Garden.
Weird shit.
Just yes, some
Serious
really intense weird shit. Like changing the hologram for everyone.
Yes.
Level weird shit.
Yes.
So one of the things that we had to do was go into the D-Monster's outhouse.
Oh, a fun place.
You want to talk about some nasty shit?
Nasty shit.
I tell you what, that was... And that was when the rock started to emit smell, too, was when we were going in there. We had to collect certain data and information and some different
things that
items.
She hid down there because she knew that nobody would want to go... Nobody good would want to go down there.
Yeah.
I mean, assholes would go down there, but nobody benevolent would ever go down that hole.
It was actually traumatizing. Afterwards, we had to do there was one part where we had to do a timeline therapy, because it's even just looking at it, it was terrifying.
Enough to make you hurl, but going down in there,
yeah.
But we did get the keys. We got the keys.
Yes, we got the keys, and we did some very important things. That rock started to smell at that point, and Laura Lee went to go itch her nose, and all of a sudden was like, I smell smoke.
I had it in my hand, and I'm doing that, and I'm like, do you smell smoke? Is there? I thought maybe there was a fire close by or something. And you know, since it's been hot, I was concerned about fires, and I'm like, do you smell fire? And you're like, well, maybe a little. And then I use my nose again. I'm like, what the heck? It's coming.
And then she had me smell her hand, and it smelled like smoke. It was, and this rock did not smell beforehand. Okay, I was working with it earlier that day, holding it in my hands, and my hands didn't smell like that.
It was weird, but not. I had one in both hands, just the left hand one. The right hand one was fine. I smelled that, and I'm like, And it can, even when we were done, my hand, I went and washed,
like
and it
3
was
times.
still there. It was still there. It took like later on that night, maybe it went away-ish.
Yeah, it was still there later on that night. It didn't completely go away for like another day. Like,
It took like 24 hours for the smoke to come off my hands from going down in the outhouse.
Yeah. And the rock that I have only just stopped smelling like the day before yesterday.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So it was
self-cleansing itself. And even when it was like that, it still wanted me to work with it. It was still like, oh, no. We got this covered. You're not going to get any stuff from this.
You're not going to. No problem. Yeah,
no.
the rocks weren't worried at all.
No. And they love to work. They love to work. So like even at that moment where the rock was smelly and I could tell it was kind of cleansing itself, I still just had this strong desire to just keep working with it, and I did, and I never had any issues from it. It never backlashed on me. I never felt like I had to wash my hands afterwards, you know,
that was fascinating.
Yeah, it really was, because it was out of the blue, you know. Your hands didn't smell like that before. The rock didn't smell like that before.
My hands have never smelled like smoke for no reason.
No, and it was only the left hand where the big rock was in. The other hand, totally fine. It just smelled like chickens from working on the chickens, working with the chickens. And that was it. That was it.
So, yeah, they do amazing things. I'm constantly, and they have literally saved my life on so many occasions. I can't even tell you how many times I've had death assaults, and the rocks helped me get through it and not die, and like bad death assaults. So and I've had other people that have had the same thing. So I owe my life to my rocks. I really do.
Yeah, and you know, that brings me to another thing that, you know, we've been talking about a lot lately is, you know, a lot of the good people out there, we do get attacked. You know, we do have psychic attack, and it's not that anything is wrong with you. There's nothing wrong with us. We're not doing anything wrong. We didn't create this. This shit is happening to us because we're uncreating it. This shit is happening to us because of how good we are. A lot of the people who have been in power for years don't want people to be caring and compassionate and to wake up to who they are and what they can do.
So and this is what I've told some of my clients that have just been raked over the coals, and, you know, a lot of healers especially. And one gal said, oh man, you know, what's wrong with me? And I said, it's not what's wrong with you, it's what's right with you. That's why you're having this stuff. It's not because you did something bad in a past life or whatever. It's because you're kicking some cosmic behind now at the very top levels. I mean, she had connections to like the top level Illuminati. And she was this kind, compassionate healer, and once she heard that, it started making sense, and she stopped beating herself up, because she, you know, the New Age thing is like,
oh, you created this.
This. If you'd stop creating it, then it would go away. Yeah. Or you were bad in a past life.
Or better yet, just ignore it and it'll go away eventually.
Yeah, stop feeding it.
Yeah.
Well, some of that is true. You know, some people are that way, but I found that the people on the front lines, that isn't true for them. They are getting beat up because they are on the front lines, not because they're paying for something they can't even remember. You know, that whole karma thing is such a bunch of crap.
Yeah,
if you can't remember what you did, karma is like, I didn't do that. If you can't even remember what it was, getting beat up for it is useless. Absolutely useless.
Yeah.
The only thing it's useful for is the Loosh market.
Yeah.
It is very loose.
And that is where a lot of that comes from, is the Loosh market. So for those of you who aren't used to that term, and we're getting eaten by mosquitoes back and forth here, so you might see us hit each other. It's okay.
They're not as bad as normal. Normally, we're infested, so we're pretty good today.
So for those who aren't used to the term Loosh, what is Loosh? What is that?
Loosh is pain, fear, and fear. Basically, the energy that comes off of you when you're scared and you're in pain. And I tell you what, there are beings out in the cosmos that love that stuff, and it fetches a high price on the Loosh market, especially like innocent people, children. So hence we have all of these horrible things with the child trafficking and animals.
Disney. Oh.
Yeah.
I didn't say that out loud, did I? Okay.
You coughed it out loud. And innocent animals getting tortured in factory farms. That's part of their market, and so it's hard for people that are normal to even think about that. You think, what?
It's not natural. It doesn't.
Backwards.
Yeah.
It doesn't compute to a benevolent person. So, and it didn't compute to me either until I started working with it. And I'm like, I'll be darned, that's exactly what it is, and that's what they're eating, and that's what's making them mean and tough, and it's like steroids to them.
It's almost like in Jupiter Ascending, how they had those little vials, that each vial is made by basically decomposing 100 people and getting their cellular structure. And the one vial would be worth like millions of dollars. If you haven't watched Jupiter Ascending, it does kind of explain the Loosh market to a degree. It explains how humans are basically harvested, and all living beings are harvested for this energy that is being used to give youth and beauty and strength and power to these elite. The term that Laura Lee has for them is ass souls. And I absolutely love it. And so does every person I share that with too. And then politicians are ass no souls.
That's right. Exactly. So for people that aren't batshit crazy and assholes, it makes no sense. But it's been going on like this for eons, and the D-Monster set it up. She's the one that organized it all. And after thousands and thousands of years, they had this refined to a, down
it is
to a
literally
science.
a science.
It is. Literally.
If you listen to any, like if you ever read like the Hermetica or like, the Goetia or like any of these dark occult information books, it is literally a science. It is literally a science on how to promote fear and anxiety and dread in someone, to feed off of that for your own personal gain.
And it is like steroids to them.
It is.
And how they use it to regenerate. It's so backwards. I mean, so backwards.
Yeah.
So this Loosh thing it's real. It is so real. And for those of us who are on the front lines that are flipping the tables on this, we're getting hit pretty hard.
Yeah, it's like our Loosh is like particularly, like, I wouldn't say it's more delicious, but it's more of a delicacy, because it takes a lot to
get us down.
Yeah.
And therefore it fetches a higher price on the Loosh market. It's like, step right up. We got the Loosh for you.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Well, and it's bizarre how it rejuvenates them, because they're backwards. It should, to anybody normal, it would corrode them away.
Yeah.
But what we're doing is putting that corrupted system out of existence and bringing everything back to the natural way it was when it was first
brought together, first built. Yeah, yeah.
Now, it was turned on by corrupted orgone energy. So that kind of lets you know why there is so much corruption, because it got started that way. And you can read about this in cryogenetics too. It kind of gives you the whole background story on that.
As well as the porn vibration book too, the secrets they don't teach you in Sunday school. That very much ties into the Loosh market. So since we're kind of getting close to the end of our time here, because we wanted to keep our videos about half hour, what would you suggest to people to use to protect themselves from being fed on? You know, for when you have the rocks, you have the eggs, the breathing techniques, working with the rocks and eggs, really getting your figure 8 racetrack system going.
That's really good. And the number one thing, well, they're all number ones, but the one that's really good is humor, like happy humor, not being mean humor. That can change your mood instantly. And like you say, deep breathing and just go, you know what? I have a Suma inside that knows how to get me out of this situation. Because what they try to do, and they did this to me just like last night, tried to make me feel like I was gonna die. I had a huge crypto attack on me, and Daniel came to my rescue because I was just like a zombie. I'm like, I don't know what's wrong with me, but I can't think straight, and horrible things are going on inside my head, and nothing computes.
Well, it's the least I can do with all the times you've come to my aid. I'm just very grateful that I was able to help.
It's just nice to have a buddy that can do that, because, well, just tell them what you found on me.
Over 100 trillion entities. Yeah, and that was just on you, and I had another 50 trillion on me that were kind of bouncing back and forth between us and other people who were helping to restore this hologram.
And then my house had a ton of them.
Yeah, like a godzillion of them, which is an actual, it is an actual number, like
godzillion?
Yeah, it is. It's an actual measurement of number, and it is like if you were to put trillions and billions together and multiply them, it will eventually add up to
godzillions.
Yeah.
Oh, I thought it was just a joke.
No, no. It's if I remember correctly, I could be wrong, but I do think I read that.
Well, it's a lot. It's a lot.
It is a lot,
and they were all over my house, causing chaos and mayhem, and I'm just like, Calgon, take me away. This is not how we're supposed to be living this life, because everything was going to hell in a handbasket, and I'm like, what just happened? And then Daniel did that, and after, I don't know, I was better within like 15, 20 minutes. I'm like, okay, life is worth living. I'm good. I'm bad. I'm bad.
Exactly, in a good way.
In a good way. Right. I'm going to go after those assholes now. So we did. They're not around anymore.
No, but yeah, I definitely agree. I think humor is one of our greatest assets, really. No matter how terrible things are, if you could find a way to laugh, honest laughter with integrity, it really creates a change, and then you get into sound and vibration theory, you get into intention work. Laughter covers everything.
It does.
It really does.
Hal taught me a lot about laughter. And how to laugh when your life sucks. And it really does help you when you're in that vibration of absolute suckiness. Laughter will kind of crack the edges around it so you can get out of that. So yeah, I totally agree with that. So we could end this one, and we'll do another one real soon.
Yes.
So come to our websites.
Yep. firstwaveindigos.com,
Yes.
Mystic House,
Yes.
ghostbustergals.com, and more.
And more.
There's a lot more. And then flowerpowerclinicalmassage.com, or flowerpowermassage.com. Yeah. The clinical is also part of the name, but I didn't put that on the website. But yeah. You go onto Laura Lee's website to get the rocks. I would strongly recommend getting the books as well. There's a lot of useful information in there. If a lot of this stuff is too heavy or you're too new to a lot of this, even the cryogenetics one is, it's a little easier.
Intense.
It's a little easier.
Well, then get Got Ghosts. That's for everybody. You can
and
read
then
that
the
to your
Ghosts.
kids.
Yeah. And there's some really good stories in that book too.
Stories.
There's some funny
animal
ones.
stories, and it's not a scary book. It's a book that can help your kids understand what's going on when things go bump in the night.
I would say the scariest story in that book is the Amargosa Hotel, and that one is more phenomenal than anything.
Yeah, that was
especially
intense.
knowing that it's all cleaned up and all taken care of now.
Well, it was then. I think I checked in on it, and it got crappy again. So see, that's one thing. You can't just clean something and think it's good for the rest of your life. You have to keep after it.
And that's one of the reasons why it's so useful to learn this information, because then you can cleanse your house as often as you need to. And there are times where like Laura Lee needed my help yesterday. There are times that I need help, like we can do quite a few things on our own,
But sometimes you need a buddy.
Yeah. So even if you do know this information, there's no judgment, no harsh, you don't do anything wrong if you need help.
Absolutely.
It's important to know when to ask for help.
Absolutely.
It's healthy.
Yes.
It's very healthy to do.
Yep.
Yeah. Well, any parting words or anything else you would like to share?
Don't worry, be happy.
Exactly. Ooh, 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 ooh. I love that song. So good.
Don't worry, be happy.
Yes.
So be our parting words. So.
Exactly. Yep. So dance on, rock on, and you know where to find us if you want more information. Feel free to ask any questions in the comments of, any kind of weird shit that you want us to talk about. There really are no taboo topics.
No, none.
Zero. However deep you guys are willing to go, we'll go there.
We can go there.
So
if we can go down to Durerla's outhouse.
Yeah, if we can handle that, we can handle anything
we're
out
good.
there. Yeah. All right. Well, sending out big hugs to all of you guys. Thank you.
Okay.
And
Bye-bye.